Hi, in this video I'm going to show how to create an old photo effect with any image in HTML by using only CSS. No need for Photoshop or any image editing app. So let's start by closing JavaScript tab. We don't need it. And we are going to add two images. They're the same image twice. And we're going to add a class in this one that is going to be old photo effect. So let's start with this image. Just for convenience, I'm going to make a width of 45% or the width. So I'm going to modify the second one, but you can see the difference with the first one. So let's start by doing the old photo effect. So we're only going to use filters and masks. That's basically what we're going to apply. So let's start with the filters. So first of all, we're going to put a grayscale of 1. That's going to turn the image into gray, just different shades of gray. And that's good because some of the colors are going to mix because they're going to end up with the same tone of gray. And next, we're going to blur it a little bit, just like 1 pixel. And you can see how it's blurred now, blurry here around the eyes, the hair. And what this does is that this is again blending the colors a little bit, like we're losing detail because old pictures don't have as much detail as the new ones. After that, what we're going to do is that we're going to apply a contrast, and we can apply a value of 1, just will leave it the same. If we apply a -1, it will look grayish. If we apply a high value, then it will look like more difference between whites and blacks. We don't want a super high value, but we want something, let's say 1.2. So you can see that we have lost some detail. You see here the color, there's many different colors here, is all looks black. So what we've done with that is that not only we have blended some of the colors and we have lost some details, but we have made it a little bit sharpened. We sharpened it a little bit. You see, this looks blurry. This doesn't look as blurry as before. Finally, to complete the filters, we're going to apply a sepia filter. So now, the color of the old pictures. Another thing that old pictures have is that they tend to lose colors toward the edges. So we can do that by applying a mask. Unfortunately, mask is a property that doesn't work in all the browsers, but the prefix WebKit work everywhere. So let's use that one. And what we're going to do is that we're going to apply a radial gradient that is fully colored in the center and then is transparent toward the edges. You see? We don't want to lose as much color, so instead of making fully transparent, let's make it just semi-transparent. And you can see now, let me remove it. You can see the difference, it's losing colors towards the edges. So that's an old photo effect, but it's a little bit limited, and it's a little bit limited in part because the image tag doesn't have pseudo elements, and there's so much that we can do with the filters and with the masks. But if we could use before and after, the pseudo elements, we could apply their filters and blend them into the parent. We cannot do it with an image, but we can do it with another element like a div. So let's copy this here. And what we're going to do is that we're going to get rid of the images and we're going to make them like divs. Class old photo effect. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say the image has an aspect ratio of 3:4, and the background is the background of the image, and the background size is the background size is going to be cover, and this, instead of being an image, is a div. So now, just for convenience, I'm going to put position display inline block. Display inline block. So they are side by side like they were before. And with this, we have the same result as with the image, but instead of using an image, we're using a div. what we're going to do is we're going to put here a position relative, and now we can add the pseudo element before, give it a position absolute, occupy the whole size, and we can apply whatever filters we want. So let's do that. So we come here, we copy this, we say, oh, it's the before, we need a content, or the pseudo element is not visible. It's going to have a position absolute, top 0, left 0, width 100%, height 100%. And what we're going to do here is we're going to do two things with the before. We're going to make the edges a little bit blurrier. So not only the old pictures look, the colors fade away towards the edges, they also get blurry normally. They're focused in the center and they tend to, not be as focused in the sides, in the edges. So we can do that by adding another mask here that is going to be the opposite of this one. Instead of being fully opaque in the center and then transparent, it's going to be transparent in the center and then opaque. So let's do that. I can copy this one. And what I'm going to do is it's going to be fully transparent in the center and then fully opaque toward the edges. And I can see it because I can put a background of red and you can see how it got there. But I don't like that it's too close to the face, so I'm going to do two things. I'm going to say farther side, and I'm going to apply maybe 30% here. Oops, 30% here. So the face is still going to be focused, but the edges are the ones that are going to fade away and the ones that are going to get blurry. And how do we make them blurry? By using backdrop filter. With backdrop filter, the filter is not applied in the element itself, but in the area behind it. That in this case is the parent, like it would be the old photo effect element. So what we do is we say backdrop filter, and what we're going to say is blur 5 pixels. And you can see it got blurry around the edges, but the face still gets focused. And what we can do again is we can apply sepia again. We can do 100%, but that may be too much. We can do 50, but that may be too little. Let's apply something like 90 or 80, something like that. And with this, we have a nice effect. Not only sepia, but also it gets blurry in the edges, it loses colors, fades away. I like it. But we can do something more. And it's adding some noise, no? All pictures have like dots everywhere here and there. And we can achieve that. We cannot achieve that with CSS in itself because CSS doesn't have a filter that adds noise. But the one that does is SVG. And a good thing is that we can have an SVG inline in CSS by using data URIs. So let me copy here. I have an SVG here, and I'm going to paste it in the HTML so you can see it. You see? This uses the turbulence filter in SVG that creates these noise dots that are red and green and blue. The good thing is that when we put it as background in the after pseudo elements, they're going to turn gray or sepia because the parent has that filter. So they are not going to look as much color. But let's see in action. So let's copy this. And now, as I was saying, what we can say is we can apply this in the background. We can say, hey, we're going to apply an URL, but it's going to be a data URI. So we're going to say data is an image that is an SVG XML, okay? And the code is going to be in UTF-8. We could base 60 for it, but it's a small SVG, so there's no need to base 64. We just can copy paste it directly. So let's cut it from here and paste it here. And the only thing is that we need to remove these spaces here that we need, the carriage returns, we don't need them. And the last thing that we need to do is that this needs to be Let's put the quotes also, that would be a nice touch. This hash symbol, that's bad. This needs to be URL encoded, and a hash is a special character in an URL, so we need to encode it in this case is %23. And you can see that it was already applied as a background, and we can see that there's noise all around, but this is in the before. We want it in the after, and now you see the noise is everywhere. The only problem with this noise is that it's too heavy. You see, you can see it everywhere. Maybe it's too much there. So what we can do is that we can blend this after pseudo element with the before and with the element itself by using mix blend mode. There are different blend modes that could be good for this. Maybe lighten or multiply would be a good one too. But no, it's not a good one because it's too dark. Let's try darken, and with darken we get a nice result. The only thing is that it's still really obvious. So what we can do is we can say let's make it not have an opacity of 100%. Let's say 0.6, and in this case we still have the noise, but it's a little bit subtle, and that's what we want. Finally, if we want, we can apply again some filters here. Let's say grayscale of 100, and you see the dots got a little bit darker, and then we can say a contrast of 150. I don't know. Yeah, so it becomes more evident, the noise. So we may want to lower the opacity a little bit, but there it is. Oh, let me close this. And with this, we have completed the old photo effect. It changes the colors, removes the colors, then into black and white and sepia. It fades toward the edges. It gets blurry towards the edges also. And we added some noise with SVG inline in CSS.